Well, it seems like Jordan Peterson, the right-wing intellectual, has kind of slowly started falling a little bit off a ledge. I don't want to say he's taking a nosedive, but he seems a little unhinged lately. You guys know he's been on certain podcasts where he's starting to flip around this 180, where he's trying to censor Joe Rogan, tell him he's got to watch out with the people he has on his show, doing all this spinning and maneuvering on behalf of Israel. It's so bizarre because the guy used to be a medical freedom champion and a free speech champion at that. But the idea that debating other people and I guess young people, he might have been inspired by the likes of a Ben Shapiro or a Charlie Kirk, thinking I can go take on a room full of young people because I'm intellectually superior and I'll just find a way to beat them. So next kid grab a mic, I beat you. Next kid grab a mic, I beat you. So I think he was definitely disappointed when he signed up to be at a Christian versus 20 atheists event that he put together in order to get his public opinion back in tip-top shape. It didn't quite go so well for Jordan Peterson. Let's look at what one of the kids did in a few, little bit of time he had with him. But these young atheists came prepared. They came to fight. Let's see what happened.
Relevant. Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure.
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
Somewhat.
Okay. You're familiar. Their doctrines are very deep. How do they regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either you're a Christian or you're not.
I won't talk to you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression I was invited to talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video.
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing. Right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
So that's a little.
I would have liked to see more of that thing, I guess, but saying it's.
Well, I have a second one I queued up, which is a little more. It goes a little, this one was just about calling out what is he representing, and I think a lot of us we wonder what are you representing when you call yourself a Christian, and then you're doing you're acting on behest of an occupied state of an apartheid state of Israel, and you're doing the bidding for them constantly, and then you're representing censorship of alternate voices, which is the exact opposite we've been doing for the previous 3-4 years. So I think there's something to be said about what he's even allowed to claim he is as a Christian, or what are you saying? What are you not saying? You can comment on this one, Craig, but if you want to see, I did queue up a second one because this next interaction that's a bit longer, but what this second student atheist is able to do is get Jordan Peterson to admit in a kind of a very intellectual way that his moral compass is only applied when convenient, and it's completely hypocritical. And so we need to look at this because these are the people that go parade around and preach about moral compasses and integrity. And this kid found a way to get him into a corner, and he couldn't take it. So let's watch this next one, and I want to hear your feedback on the whole experience. Here we go.
Do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean when you say you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if you believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it. That's what I mean by that. It isn't something that you say. It isn't something that's associated with logical consistency. It's not declarative. It's not propositional. It's not a figment of your imagination. It's the presupposition of your attention and your action. And you're either fragmented, in which case you worship multiple gods, or there's some unity at the bottom of it that makes you an unstoppable force.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay. So then,
How would you define belief? Something you say?
okay, so I explain. Like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone like threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your
Don't
life.
be so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life.
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career. I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to like save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
No, can there ever be a circumstance logically that lying could save someone?
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
I'll give you an example. If you're like in like Nazi Germany, and it
we
is the
go.
case that there's like Jewish people in your attic, and you're trying
I
to
know
protect
the
them,
example.
would you lie to like the Nazis? If
I
they're
would have
asking?
done everything I bloody well could, so I wouldn't be in that situation
you
to
lie?
begin with. It's a hypothetical, and it's not.
So this is now I'm pausing here. He's saying I would do anything I could to not get into that situation. Now he's in some very shaky territory. And this is where we get into the justification of Palestine. I'm making that comparison. You'll know where I'm going with this, Craig, when he's done here, because Palestine doesn't come up in this. But there's an idea that with this circular logic about I don't have to answer your question because it's a hypothetical about something that I would never be in. But the kid's saying, no, but what if you did? What if you are in Nazi Germany? And you had to, so here we go. This is where this argument loses every sort of bit of moral, kind of value at all, because he refuses to acknowledge that this is an actual predicament that people are in and have to make decisions.
Can you answer
answerable.
hypotheticals?
No, I can't answer a hypothetical like
What?
that because
Did
it's
you eat
far.
today?
Look,
Did you eat
don't
today?
play games.
I'm not playing a game. I'm just asking
Yes,
if you
you
ate
are.
it.
If you present me with an intractable moral choice that's stripped of context and you back me into a corner, you're playing game. I just told you
Hypothetical.
I would do everything that I could to make sure that I'm never in that situation. By the time you've got there, you've made so many mistakes that there's nothing you can do that isn't a sin.
Being born in Nazi Germany and trying to protect people that you care about, like there could be a Jewish friend that you have and you want to protect them.
I think you should
have
just
them in
give
your
up on
attic.
that line of questioning.
Give up on just like trying to clarify your position? Because
I
you don't
did
like, are you like
clarify.
uncomfortable with me asking this question? It's just a basic hypothetical. Like I could ask you.
It's just a
did you-
basic
yeah, yeah.
hypothetical
Like,
where you
like if you-
put Jews' lives at stake in Nazi Germany. That's just a basic hypothetical.
Obviously, you would lie in that scenario to save their life, but you're like not trying to answer this question for some reason.
I just told you why.
Are you anti-fascist? Like, so you're
Why are
anti-fascist?
you asking that?
I was just asking, just clarifying. But like, okay, again, you're not answering this hypothetical because you know it shows that you clearly would lie to save
I'm
someone's life.
answering it in
Obviously,
a
that's
manner
not
you
what truth
don't
is.
find acceptable.
Obviously, because I care about
you're-
truth.
I wouldn't be in that scenario.
Obviously, right? Logically, because that's
No.
already happened. Like that's in the past. You don't have a time travel device. We're bringing this logical hypothetical up to show you that in some circumstances that do happen within the real world, you would lie to save people's lives. So your definition of truth isn't actually how we're typically using it. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to muddy the waters when I ask you, like, do you believe this? Do you think this to be true? So you don't actually have to answer the questions. And plenty of Christians don't like that because they clearly see that you don't really like want to be associated with
I can
Christianity with that
imagine
respect.
that I was in a situation where the best I could do as a consequence of my previous mistakes was to tell the least amount of lie I could manage. But that would likely indicate that I had made all sorts of catastrophic errors on my way there.
So
Right.
you would lie to save someone's life. So again, you do believe it to be true in that circumstance, even though you like lied in that scenario. So
Not
clearly that's
without
not what
the
you see to be true.
context that I put it in.
You were not willing to
I
die for it. You
said-
were not willing to let other people die for it. So that's not what you see to be true then, seemingly.
You're doing exactly what I said you were doing at the beginning of the conversation. You're generating an impossible, restricted, hypothetical with no precursors to back me into a
How is
corner.
it possible? Is there something contradictory about it? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Yeah.
I just can't help but think about the current situation right now in Palestine. And I'm starting to understand more about how you can sleep at night after saying that what is being done to the Palestinian people is okay because the scenario that they find themselves in, they somehow brought it on themselves. This whole idea of sin or born with sin, just born in the wrong place, wrong time. Jordan Peterson doesn't want to answer that question about the hypothetical in Nazi Germany because he doesn't want to also have to apply it to people having to do what they have to do. I don't know. Maybe if you want to resist an occupation you've had your entire life in an open air prison, you might want to stage a resistance movement. So there's no ability to connect with that because he refuses to put himself in that position because he's taking a higher ground. And this is where we get to the people have different values in God's eyes, and there's chosen people who are not born into situations like Gaza because they were chosen. So he won't answer it in that circumstance. That's what I feel. I'm able to see a little bit more of what's going on in this broken man because these kids came into the circle and did what I don't think people do with Jordan Peterson. I don't think he's never had anything like this happen on camera before, because the people he's usually in discussions with don't bring this type of I think this fresh take on things. So he could not do what he thought he could do that, Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk seem to get away with a lot more because they're a little more skilled at this, I think.
I don't think they're skilled because I'm looking at this in two different lights. All right, number one, it's a common thing. I've said this quite often that, it's kind of cool because at the very end, you usually let me play my clips from my pilot that I'm working on where I put different people in the room. Right. And I've always said that, like, a lot of people on the right, a lot of people who have a lot of big followings, whatnot, common sense, right. Conservatives, populists, right, don't want to have conversations with people like me. Like, when I was introduced, me and Fiorella at Defeat the Mandates, the first one in DC, it was very interesting because it was people from the Julian Assange, Tulsi people who brought us into this whole kind of circle. And it said, this is Pasta, Jardula, and Fiorella Isabel. They are common sense conservatives. Well, I've learned that even though you get close to them, where you say they're willing to have the conversation, there is a certain part, an apparatus on the right that doesn't want to have conversations or shows with common sense leftists like ourselves. They'd rather have conversations with really radical people, are very tribal, very one-sided. I hate to say the term radical because I should stop using it, but what Donald Trump and everybody refers to the radical left, very ideologue, stuck to one position. If you're stuck on one position and you can't be open-minded, be independent thinking, you're going to be trapped. You're going to lose eventually. You're going to get into a situation, the people like the Charlie Kirks, the Ben Shapiros, Myron Gaines, who's now doing this right now, the new red pill dude on the right, and Jordan Peterson would do this, and they would often do it with college students, right? Because college students are in a certain environment where some of them haven't really tapped into their independent thought yet, right? They're told to believe a certain way. It's tribe mentality. Everybody's compassionate, loving, whatnot. So when these guys go to face these people, right, they often win the debate or look better in the debate, look like the one who has more logic because they're kind of arguing against at least the majority of the people that come out there that are still haven't really hit their plateau as far as independent thinking and have a different view, right? Yeah. I don't know if they put him in this position to do him in, right? Like the Jordan Peterson, to expose him. If some people are done with him, they don't want to be, whatever. But they set a group of kids that are the ones that you don't want to debate, that are going to make you look bad. And they put him out there like a sheep amongst wolves, because these kids were wolves. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly where they were going. They made their points. You know what I'm saying? There is a logical point of view, I think, for atheists to have a say in our government that they don't want to have religious aspects in it. Because when you bring religion into government, into decisions, it always, for some reason, capitulates back to my God is better than your God. And because this biblical prophecy says this, a la Sarah Huckabee Sanders, right, in Arkansas, making a law in which state representatives have to refer to the West Bank as, Judea and Samaria. They can't do that. I mean, that's what happens when you allow this to happen.
Yeah.
So the fact that they kind of carted Shapiro out there, right? Because they don't want to have these conversations, really, Matt. Yeah. In their eyes, they want to show conversations where a Republican like a Charlie Kirk, a Myron Gaines, a Jordan Peterson, a Ben Shapiro is going to eat the lunch of the young wolf who's not yet ready, right? He's not ready to be in that arena. He should be playing in double ball, double A. He shouldn't be playing in the major leagues, and they wheel him out. So the fact that they did this, and I will make this argument that a lot of those people, Steve Bannon never had me on his show because he doesn't want a common sense leftist on his show. Alex Jones hasn't wanted me on the show because he doesn't want a common sense leftist on his show, especially when it came to talking about the elections in Brazil and Latin America and stuff. They chose their own person that would repeat their rhetoric. So this is just an interesting, intriguing situation. I don't know who put him out there. He should have a conversation with somebody. But even as smart as Jordan Peterson can be, especially when his own point of view, He's always showed an opening of just capitulating to religion and believing in religion. You know, on that stage with Russell Brand and Rescue the Republicans in D.C., it was nauseating him saying we have to go back and revert to our Christian Judaic principles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they put him out there and they slayed him. So either somebody messed up or they did it on purpose because they want to ingest some form of incredibility moving forward in Jordan Peterson.
Or they said, if you want to get back into the limelight, you got to get through these kids first. This was the final boss or whatever you say. But these kids, they showed up and they said, oh, you can take on these little atheists. They don't know any. No, these are non-tribal thinkers that come to the table, critical thinking skills, ready to go, not representing a tribe. Atheism is not really a tribe. Just to be clear, atheism is not a tribe. It's not a group. Some people mix up this whole. We get into the satanic worship stuff and this whole horrible stuff that goes on here in Hollywood. We talk about this all the time, but that's not. Sometimes people conflate that with atheism. Atheism is not part of anything. Not part of any tribe of any sort. So you can go into a debate. Just be ready. Be prepared. Get a good night's sleep the night before if you're going to debate an atheist, because they're not representing. Like their team winning a point. They're just having a critical thinking conversation. And that's all you really should want to have if you want to get to the bottom of something.
I don't like to have.
My God told me to kill you. So trust me, he did. So I have to kill you now and take your house.
I don't like having debates like that. I had a small one with Andrew Wilson at the Cause Fest, Rebels for a Cause. And, you know, this guy, Andrew Wilson, who I do not like at all, who's part of that whole Myron Gaines, that whatever, you know, this whole kind of conversation of just bagging on women because there's an insecurity and their egos getting in play. You know what I'm saying? That they have to make women generally look like a different second-class set of species, right? Mm-hmm. You know? And I had a little debate with him. We were kind of arguing about back and forth, but you know, according to a lot of these people, if you're an atheist and you don't have a set of standard rules to live by, then you can never really be a cause for good, you know, of sorts like that you're always going to be tainted and stuff. Hey, I don't need the 10 Commandments written down or what the good things that Jesus did on a piece of paper for me to say, I want to do right by what's going on. The same kind of traditions of the 10 Commandments, I innately, you know what I'm saying? Innately believe in them. You know what I'm saying? I don't need them written down to be a good person. I don't need religion to figure out what's better for society or not. We can have these conversations and figure what's going on. Jordan Peterson just got an ass whipping on that one, man. Wow. Yeah,
absolutely.
I've never seen him look that embarrassed and that just.
Yeah. It was quite a sight, but we're giving the credit to the kids, the atheist kids who showed up. They were prepared, and they get the loudest voice of the week.